Today on the farm, I have on my modest shirt and hat, which can only mean one thing. We are about to plant some peanuts. You've seen me plant soybeans and corn with these planters. Switching from one crop to another is not as simple as just dumping in a different seed. I have to change the brushes and the seed plates for every different variety of crop I plant. There's a different set of seed plates, different brushes, and a different door setting down here. Last year, y'all saw us loading peanut totes into a large seed tender and use that seed tender to auger into the planters and fill them up. But now that I'm on my own, it is all gonna be done one 50-pound bag at a time. Gonna be a lot of bags get picked up and dumped into planters over the next few days. As with the other seeds you saw me plant, we are going to be giving these a dry lubricant as well. The peanuts need a little bit more lubrication than the corn and soybeans do because peanuts are oily in nature. And so you have to make sure you got enough powder down there on the nuts or they will not slide through the planter. They will gum everything up and the seed rate will be incorrect. Y'all hear me talk about South Georgia red clay a lot, nearly every video, but this particular field has some of that South Georgia sand in it. A lot of sand out here, a lot different than the other fields I farm. So a little bit different conditions. Had to back off the pressure springs because it just mashed these planters down in the sand. Just a lot of different issues to combat when you're out here in the sand trying to plant. I watered this field last night. I put 6/10 on it less than 12 hours ago, but I'm able to get out here and plant today because it's sandy. If I had 6/10 on red clay, wouldn't be out here rolling right now. But I was able to get that water on this field last night and then jump back out here today and start planting. I'm trying to get it planted while I still have that moisture here, get those peanuts germinated before that moisture leaves. Some of you may be wondering why I chose to water ahead of the planter instead of behind it. You would think in a normal situation, you come out here and plant your crop. This is what a lot of people do with soybeans. You plant the seed and then water over the top of it. That doesn't work as good with peanuts. If I put the peanuts in this warm ground out here, and then I put that cold pond water over the top of this seed, it will actually shock those seeds. You won't get as good of a stand, and the peanuts that do come up will be kind of stunted for a while. They'll have to be set back. You're actually ahead of the game to water before you plant. Let that water soak into this warm earth and get warmed up, and then come in here and plant the seed behind the water. The peanuts come up much better watering ahead of the planter than watering behind the planter. Something I'm having to keep a check on is this right here. Rolling through this wet ground, you get some dirt build up on these tires back here, and that will actually change the depth that the planter is running. As the dirt sticks to these wheels will run a different depth, and this is where my seed is dropping between these discs. So when that gets mud stuck on it, it changes my depth. My depth will be inconsistent across the field, and we don't want that. We want the depth the same. So we got to keep these wheels cleaned off. I could wait another day or two to let this get fully dried down. It would be a lot easier to plant. But right now, we're already in second week of May. This variety I'm planting is called 12Y, Georgia 12Y. It's a longer season peanut, it's about 150 days. And so 150 days, plus after I dig them, they got to dry down on top of the ground another few days. So right now, if I can get them planted and get them up, we're looking at middle of October. That's getting kind of late in my book. I like late September, early October. So I really don't want to postpone planting this any longer than necessary. If I got to crawl out here and knock these planters off because of these wet spots, then that's what I prefer to do, to get them planted here in the today and tomorrow, next couple of days. Because I really don't want to be at the end of October. You don't never know what's going to happen. We may have a hurricane come in during harvest, or something may cause us to get backed up, and we don't want to get so far backed up that we get to the end of October harvesting these nuts. We want them in early October. So my best move right now is to muscle on through this, do whatever it takes to get these seed in the ground today and tomorrow, and then I will move on to a shorter season variety, which will give me a little bit more leeway. These are my settings today. I'm running about 5.1 to 5.2. I'm targeting 105,000 seed per acre. Got my vacuum set on 13 to 14 PSI. And currently we're putting those nuts down about 2 inches in the ground. There it is. Nope. Y'all don't know how many times a day I get off the tractor to pick up what might be an airhead. Usually not an airhead, but sometimes you get lucky. One of the side effects of planting peanuts, pink hands. You're gonna get pink, you plant peanuts, because of the seed treatment that's on the peanuts. So even if we're using a big seed tender, if you was watching last year, we had a big seed tender, using it instead of doing bags. You still gotta load the seed tender with the huge totes. And when you load seed tender, basically from your knee down on your blue jeans is bright pink. Your shoes or boots, whatever you're wearing, are bright pink. And whoever's up there untying them bags, their hands, forearms, bright pink. From the day we start to the day we finish. It's not quite as bad with the bags. I don't get it all over my clothes, but I do have to stir that powder up in there, and when you do that, you get pink on your hands. I'm having to adjust my ground speed with my thumb wheel right there as I go across the field. I'm constantly monitoring. I got my seed rate set on 105, but see right now I'm running 109. And so I will roll my ground speed up a little bit. You'll see it increase up here. I roll it up 5.4, 5.5, and that'll drop me down to 102, or right now I'm on 97,000, 96,000. And since I roll it back slowly, I pop back up to 100,000. So this field has a bowl down in the middle of it. And as I'm going downhill, I can actually run faster. I'm getting perfect. I'm on 103,000. I'm running 5.2. But as I start to go uphill, in order to maintain my seed count, I have to roll my speed off and get down around the mid 4s, maybe 4.5, 4.6, to maintain the same seed count. So I'm not just sitting up here riding, I have my thumb on the thumb wheel here, and I'm adjusting my speed constantly. Had a few raindrops falling out here, had to get a tarp to cover up the seed. Can't let those seeds get wet. We've had scattered showers out here the last 2 days. This is the 3rd day in a row getting these scattered showers, but unfortunately none of them have scattered on top of my fields. But they are around, and they could pop up anytime. That shower right there is in Alabama. The Chattahoochee River is just beyond those trees over yonder. That water's falling in Alabama. There's a little bit falling close to town right there, but some of it could make it over here. I hope it does, because I got the next field to plant is dry land. I can't plant it until we get a little water on it. We gotta get some rain on it. But as for right now, we're going to keep the seed covered up and just uncover it while I'm loading the planters and cover it back up, because there's a lot of showers floating around in the area. Got a little problem back here. This is dragging right down our road. Dirt climb. And so while the ground is moist out here, this is a dry, hard, red clay dirt clod that was down there below this sandy surface. Just below the sand, hard, South Georgia red clay. Always a problem. It got caught in front of the disc, and the disc was just pushing it along instead of rolling and burying our seed properly. It's throwing the seed out of the furrow when it's doing that. Now, there's a chance this seed's in the furrow but the wrong depth, but most of the time when you get a dirt clod caught in there, you're throwing the seed out of the furrow and just making a heck of a mess. But I don't see any seeds outside the furrow. What I do see is my furrow is lower than the road. So I got a bump on either side of the furrow. That's gonna be a problem when it gets time to dig these peanuts. We don't want that. That's no good. So you got to keep an eye on that sort of thing. You got to always be watching backwards for stuff like this, but be watching forward on that monitor, adjusting your speed, make sure your seed rate is correctly. This is what the seed bed should look like, nice and smooth. My seeds are right here. I have a packing wheel on either side of it. You have a nice smooth area. What we don't want is that big ditch where the seeds are. That's no good, no good. Check this out, those cotton wheels are stopped up. You've heard me talk about these cotton wheels in the corn planting video. These are called cotton discs. A lot of times those cotton discs get a dirt clod stuck in between them, and it'll drag out a big hole in the road too. So you got to keep an eye on your cotton disc, your packing wheels. You got to always be looking backwards and forward at the same time to make sure all this stuff works right. Well, that's gonna do it for day one of peanut planting season. It's about 7 o'clock. It's not terribly late, but I'm satisfied with the amount of work that got done today. Feel confident if nothing goes wrong, I can finish that field tomorrow and get moved to the next field, which is a dryland field. But I thank all of y'all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.